Hello, RC Jim, the plane doctor here. Well, I don't know that I qualify for that. Maybe the bush medicine practicer or whatever. But yeah, we got a patient on the table here, and we want to have a look and see what's wrong and see if we can figure out what to do to fix it.
Okay, here we have a very beautiful VQ SBD Dauntless Dive Bomber. And yeah, great plane. Started out as a glow fuel engine, rather big and heavy, well, 1.5 meter wingspan. But yeah, busted up a horizontal stabilizer. The main wing, reasonably okay. Busted out part of the fuselage there, and there's some associated damage inside related to that. One end of the wing is pretty good. The other end of the wing, a whole panel broke off. This wing is built in 3 segments, and the one outboard segment, the winglet out there, busted off. And there's kind of a plywood, not really a spar, but a joiner that holds that thing on there. And that plywood is pretty dodgy. It just has a minimal amount of fibers going longitudinal, and that allowed it to break quite easily. So anyway, we need to do something to get that put back together there. That spar just sort of goes back just a part ways. I thought one time about going all the way across with something, but the other end is pretty solid, so just that one segment where this joins on would be the area to give it some attention. Does have either plywood or balsa covering on there. It has some areas where there's some openings underneath the covering, but generally kind of hard to get at inside there without really messing up the structure. So we will open it up and have a look at it here in a bit.
As with many surgical procedures, what I'm doing here is opening things up the best that I can. The landing gear are just simply in these blocks that are fastened on like so. And I've removed those, which gives me a little bit of access in here to have a look. Now I want to get these covers off so that I can see what's in there. Plus this one, I've got a massive repair to do here, so I'm going to have that off for that. And as typical, they tend to be stuck on a little bit better than what you'd like if you're having to take them off. Looks like some CA adhesive got into this one to help hold it on, and that did its job. So I'm just working the knife under the edge of it to get between the covering and the plastic to separate the two. Okay, so that's got that. With the blade, I've got the chamfered edge on the bottom to try and keep it off of the covering, and the flat part of it up against the plastic. Got a little bit of glue right here that is being rather temperamental. I'm just doing an extra good job. Okay, that's kind of loose. Parts of it anyway. Parts of it are glued on better than what we would like in this situation, but generally you want glued things to stay together. So I can't complain too much. Okay, that's that and that. Got a little bit in here. Okay, so we got most of that off in one piece. Okay, and that opens up things immensely, finding little bits and pieces here and there. We always keep our pieces in a parts bin that we take out. Okay, those are still hooked on, so I won't pull those out. Okay, so we've got good access to this area through there. Okay, now let's see if we can get this one off. That's the thought too, is just getting this part off. Oops, broke that bit. Isn't it wonderful working with plastic? Okay, well, we got that bit off of that one. So that still gives us basically the same access. Okay, so we would have the possibility of running something through there. Carbon tube. See, the other one, plywood. The plywood piece comes up to here. This plywood piece comes to there. So I'd like to fasten onto there, and also this next rib through here. I also thought about doing our keyhole surgery like what we did on the P51. That panel, this panel here appears to be glued along the bottom there. Don't see any glue along the top, but one would think if it's glued on the bottom it would be glued on the top as well. It's probably just done in a way that it didn't show. But we could have blocks glued to that with holes in it for the spar thing to come through there, and then also try to support it farther down here. Okay, and then the next question is whether to have this part of the wing removable. It's a thought. Okay, with our flaps, I'm not going to mess around with these silly dive brakes. Those are a real pain. I was trying to get them adjusted, and trying to make them exactly the same on both sides was impossible. And potentially part of the issue when it crashed was those things flopping around. We tried to fasten them together to keep them steady, but you know, obviously that was less than entirely effective. So we might have some damage inside there, huh? It's hard to say. That one's in deeper than that one. From an engineering perspective, always looking at failure analysis, as I look at this break in the plywood here, you see how it's a very clean line across there and across here. And they're just very thin bits there. Looking at these here, I've got these thin bits coming out here, then a thick bit there that has a clean break going across with these thin bits here. So these thin bits, the grain is coming out longitudinally along the wing. Where the clean break is, that's where the grain is going that way. And of course, where the grain is going that way, it's not very strong. It's depending on the grain that is going longitudinal for strength. So one issue with plywood is that, you know, here they got the great big thick stuff that's going the weak way, and they just got the little thin veneer stuff on the outside that looks pretty, that is going the right way for strength. Now, it's appropriate to have the stronger stuff on the outside, but oftentimes plywood is just made to look good, and so they put the nice looking stuff on the outside and they keep that thin. So that's a bit of an issue in using plywood for spars, and something you need to take note of. Well, I'm thinking about the main wing. I'm also having to look over here. I've pulled loose the elevator control on this one side, and just cutting loose the covering here, because obviously that's going to have to get all changed. So got a clean break in the balsa, and our tail plane goes right through the fuselage, and that's been glued in there nicely. That's going to be a challenge. I might end up making a totally new horizontal stabilizer and having to take a drill and whatever and clear out that slot for it and put in a brand new stabilizer. Of course, the elevator control surfaces will be fine. These are all built up balsa. But there's no way I'm just going to glue that on there and have it stay. Not that I can think of. You know, the only possibility to be some mini carbon rods drilled in and put in, but I don't know that I can do that. Okay, so that's that. This isn't as bad as what it looks here, in that we've got the trim pieces that will cover that. So I got that trim piece there, and I got the other trim piece that goes almost up to the front. So whatever repair that I do in this area here is going to be covered up, and of course there is a fair bit of reconstruction that has to get done in that area, but I've seen worse. Verticalized stabilizer is okay, that side is okay. So just have to work out whether or not I have to replace the horizontal stabilizer there. Well, now that we've sorted out what all the damage is, we can get started bit by bit. We'll get going on the tail and then on the wing, and each bit we will do as a separate video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. And while you're at it, you might want to look at some of our other videos that we've got, especially having to do with the repairs. So you have a great day, and we'll catch you later. This is RC Jim signing off.